Alrighty folks, today we're going to look at the evolution of rods and reels. First up is the fly rod. The fly rod, very long, very whippy. This is the top tip. You can see it's like spaghetti. This is 8 foot long, and the reel is all the way in the back. The reason for that is you get the entire action of the rod when you're casting. You have to cast the line, you don't cast the lure with when you're fly fishing. Now, this is a 30-some-year-old Shakespeare, and it still works like a dream. There's not a lot that can go wrong on a fly reel. It's just a spool and a clicker. Normally, fly fishers, anglers, however you want to put that, have bags like this with them. And they have, you know, extra tippet, extra leaders. They'll also have extra spools with different line, because if you push this button here, the spool will come right out, and you can swap it out with whatever line you need. Like a hot swap, it's wonderful. Right back into action. Like it said, it has a clicker. It's a rudimentary drag. You don't, when you're playing the fish, you just pull line in and pinch it against the cork. You don't actually use the reel, really. Okay. I'm starting here because these were made from cane or very limber limbs and that kind of thing. Started, I believe, in China, and then they used a very fine thread and flies. So this hasn't changed for millennia, aside from the spool. And like I said, you got your, sort of flies here. I can't see that. And then, on the other side, there's streamers and poppers for bass, larger fish, rod tip repair kit, and tippet and leader. So yeah, like I said, normally they have a couple spools in there with different line on it. Fly anglers are different. They're not bad. They're different. A lot of people pick on them, so I don't quite understand. Let people have fun, right? And after that, we have what we call a conventional bait caster. You turn the handle and it reels in the line. This was my grandfather's. This is about 60 years old, I believe. And it still works wonderfully. Beautiful. Has a star drag. Has a lever lock to release the spool. And then that'll stop it when you turn on. Now, I'll show you here. If you get a hook of fish, these have slop in it. So you lose a lot of that power when you go to pull fish in. It jumps pretty far sometimes. It has a bait clicker, which when it's in free spool, you'll know when a fish is taking the line. And it's got a little bit of tension on it too, so fish is on there. Let me turn that off. This has spool control too. This puts pressure on the spindle in the middle of the spool, and it'll let you control the speed of how fast the line will go out. This had a level wind at some point, and the level wind packs the line. I'll show you on the other reel. It packs the line on flat. So when you're reeling this, you have to do this to keep that line flat. Again, conventional bait caster. If you're going to get one like this to fish for catfish or flounder, that kind of thing, get with a pen. This is a pen. This pen Peerless number 9. They are built like tanks, and their service department, it's the best in the industry. If I sent this in for a level wind, they would put the level wind on there and charge me for that, nothing else, and they would take the part reel and service it while it was there. And they would have this part in stock. Their service is just that good. I can't say enough good about Penn. When I worked in a tackle shop, that's pretty much all we sold. For damn good reason. Yeah. So if we move on to that, we get what I call the Sports Series baitcaster. Now the differences here is it has a thumb catch or thumb latch to release the spool. It's low profile, so you can cast this all day long without getting fatigued. Has a star drag, just like the others. And it has the spindle control here. That's your big control, you know. Controls the speed of the spool when it's in free spool, as such. Turn the handle, comes right back in. And then you have your fine tuning here on the side. This is what they call cast control. It's a finer adjustment than the spool control. You get this clocked in, and then this will be your fine tuning. Turns, you know, low to high. What's going on in here, take this off, it has rare earth magnets in there. So when you turn that, to go forward or backwards, putting, you know, magnetism on the spool here. Another thing here is when the side's off, you can take the spool out very easily and service your reel. Or put different line in, you know, get an extra spool and put a different line in. I have tape around this because they get sloppy if you don't have a lure on them or anything like that. So yeah, this is, you know, like I said, it's low profile. Most of these bait casters like this with the, like I said, low profile, like here goes down the side of the rod. Daiwa was the first innovator for this. That style, and everyone's copied them now. This has a level line, so when you turn the handle, that goes running back and forth. If you can see that, to pack the line flat. So a lot of innovations, and you know, like I said, it's so ergonomic. You can fish all day with this, and you know, no problem at all. Feel, you know, if you're on a well-balanced rod, your arm won't be sore, let's put it that way. So after you had big, you know, the conventional reels, you started to get things like this. Now this is what they call a round baitcaster. This came after, you know, after the Penn. And what this does is this combines the good parts about a conventional reel and the good parts about the quote-unquote sport model baitcasters. Has a thumb release, has a star drag, has a spool control. Now, when you have a spinning rod, they have a trigger here. That's so when you hold the rod, you don't get fatigued. Or if a fish strikes it, don't pull it out of your hand. You have very good control here. Underneath here, where the trigger is, they have a piece exposed of the rod, so you can feel the slightest movement on your rod. If you're using a braided line, you can basically feel them sniffing at it. Cork handles, I only buy cork handles. When they get wet, they still grip very well. I personally like the look of them. The EVA gets beat up in the sun. The foam gets beat up in the sun, starts cracking, and it gets dusty, and it just I don't like it. This is a Bass Pro Shops Graphite Series rod. I have a couple of graphite rods from them from 20 years ago, and they're still they're workhorses. $40 for these, and they have them in everything. This is a fairly decent. I would use this for flounder, no problem. Pretty heavy rod. But in this graphite series, they have everything from boat rods down to ultralight, all for $40. They're very nice rods for that price. And then we have the sister of that, or cousin of that. We've got a couple things going in here. This is what they call a boat rod. Very short, very stout, referred to also as pull cues for obvious reasons. This has EVA handles. I couldn't buy, they don't make cork for these, unfortunately. It does not have a trigger, because you're going to be holding it like this basically all day waiting for something, or it'll be in a holder. This has a star drag as well. Has a lever release for the spool. It has full tension over here, and it's got a bait clicker. This is a Seaboy. This is a pen. This is very, very affordable. I got this probably 20 years ago, but it's a tank. I've hoisted, 5-6 pound tog from a bridge, lifted them up, 15, 20 feet with this thing. I can't bend it by hand. I can't. So these, like I said, these are rather big, long for leverage. You can put it in a fighting belt. And a lot of them have a removable tip. I can't hit this one off for some reason. And you can put weight in here to balance it out. When you're balancing a rod or reel, you want to put your finger pretty much right in front of the reel, and then if this is balanced very well. What that does is it helps you keep the fatigue down, because you're at the center of gravity. Makes everything a lot lighter, especially if you're working all day, casting. Now, we move into, this is that boat rod is pure fiberglass. When you're doing big fish like that, most of the time you are going to have fiberglass because it's extremely durable, and if you make it stiff enough, they're as strong as the graphite or anything like that. Now, when you get into spinning rods, there's quite a few differences. This is a Leland Lures, the people that make trout magnets. This is their Swirlip Series 150 light action rod. This is gorgeous. I love this rod. Feels good. You can detect hits really well. When you get spinning rods, because the line comes off in such a big way, it has a big line guide first. If you can see that. So as the line comes out all wild, it goes through here, and then they get progressively smaller as it goes towards the tip. And in theory, by the time it gets to the end, it should be no friction. The line should be going straight through without touching. Okay, so about the reel, the spinning reels really haven't changed all that much. They really can't. I mean, they have innovations such as CNC machine spools, make them a little bit lighter, that kind of thing. But the basic form of it is identical. You can find one that's 50 years old and it does the same thing. So when you reel, the line goes through this roller bearing, and it packs onto the spool. And if you see, the spool moves up and down. That packs the line flat on the spool, so it won't bite into itself when you're fighting fish, that kind of thing. These also have a flip, so you can feed line out if you're bait fishing. Sometimes you have to let them take the bait, and then you can turn it on, turn it back on, and whack them. Hit the hook up there. This is your drag on these. There's not a lot under the hood here. This is just basic drag. It's got steel disc, I think a carbon disc if I'm not mistaken, and then another metal disc. The Shimano Siena's, Shimano's known for very smooth drag, and it is. It's buttery smooth. Has the instant anti-reverse. Like I said, on that conventional reel, it's you have a bit of slop. This is All the new reels have this feature, even the cheapest of them. Or the reel hangs below your hand. It's got the arm here is ergonomic. They've gotten that down pretty well. I used to get blisters on my fingers from the ones that they didn't care. They didn't care how it felt in your hand. Most rods now come with a line or a lure hook, so you don't have your lure flopping around or anything like that. I've found that the ones that they put directly in line with the line guides, you put it on there and you pick it back up and you start twisting it. You put it on, pick it up, if you're walking around a pond or something, and it'll start looping because you're picking it up and going under the line that's there and do it again. And so I prefer ones that are off to the side or on top of the rod. Not something you should not buy a nice rod for, but just letting you know about that. And this is graphite, and this thing, like I said, gets down to basically, spaghetti. I can keep going here. Just if you can see it, that's the tip. And very, very fine. One piece of graphite. This thing it's responsive. You can feel everything. Bends all the way down to the handle. It's got a slow action. Fast tip. If you tap them like that, you see where they bend. And I'll have to show you when we do a bigger portion. But where they bend is when you tap them. That's the action. You can get them fast, medium, slow, that kind of thing. And then have here another spinning rod. But this one is carbon fiber. I have yet to use this one. I got it from Temu it was under $15, I believe. I've never used a split handle. I've never used a carbon fiber rod either. It feels good in the hand. I give them that. It's got a metal ferrule. It's got a line hook. It's got a cork handle. And then, like I said, this split handle. I'm not familiar with it. I have to see how it goes. This has a Piscifun flame on it. Nice little reel too. A little bit sloppier than the Sienna, but the Piscifun reels, don't hesitate. They're good, very good for the money. It's got the CNC machined here. Make the spool lighter. These are nylon, I believe. Either way, they're very tough. They take a beating. It's got a nice roller bearing there. The top of the spool is angled out. It's got an angle this way, so when the line comes off, less friction. Well thought out, and little innovations like that, but really the spinning reel has not changed. One thing I should say, if you're fishing in saltwater, you have to hose your rods and reels down every time. Do make it part of your routine. If you don't, you're going to have corrosion. You're going to have salt building up in your eyes, which will damage your line and that kind of thing. But mostly it's corrosion in your reels. Do not hesitate to soak them for minutes with a hose. But they have water-resistant grease and everything in there. Get the salt off. Now that I've said that, I hope you've enjoyed it and learned something, and we'll see you next time.